It's Christmas time. I love it. It's so fun. Anyways, let me just open up my Word document here and then we'll get started. We're gonna get started. As always, my sources will be linked down below. Please subscribe to my channel, yada yada yada. One more fun fact about me before we start. My favorite Christmas movie ever is The Family Stone. Also, I haven't seen every single movie in which I'm going to be talking about. So if I'm like not wrong or like I don't know what I'm talking about, it's just because I haven't seen them all. But they're mostly about like the really popular ones that we all know about, but I just haven't watched them all. So yeah, okay. Well, great, we're on the same page. 3 minutes later and we're gonna start the video. Number one. Oh yeah, I'm gonna look this way because that's where my laptop is, okay. It's a Wonderful Life was a box office bomb. Though it had become a quintessential American classic, It's a Wonderful Life was not an immediate hit with the audiences. In fact, it put director Frank Capra $525,000 in debt, which left him scrambling to finance his productions company's next picture, State of the Union. Number two. A Charlie Brown Christmas was supposed to have a laugh track. In the 1960s, it was standard production to lay a laugh track over virtually any half-hour comedy, even if the performers were drawn in. The Flintstones was among the series that used to can a studio audience to help cue viewers for jokes. When executive producer Lee Mendelsohn told Charles Schultz he didn't see the Peanut special being any different, the artist got up and left the room for several minutes before coming in and counting as if nothing had happened and continuing on as if nothing had happened. Mendelsohn got the hint. I love, my favorite thing ever is like when artists are like just super dramatic. They're like, no, I don't care. I get that you're like a big honcho, a CEO, like you run an entertainment company, but it's either my way or no way. And that's what that reminds me of. Number 3, Stanley Kubrick is partly to thank for Christmas Vacation. Christmas Vacation marked the directorial debut of Jeremiah Chekik, who began his career as a fashion photographer for Vogue, then moved into commercial directing. I had made these commercials that had become quite iconic here in the US. Chekik recalled the Den of Geek in 2011. They were very dark and sexy and sort of a little bit out of their time in terms of style, and what happened was they gained the notice of Stanley Kubrick, who had mentioned them as his favorite American filmmaking, ironically in the New York Times article. It didn't take long for Chekik's phone to start ringing in for studios to start sending him scripts, and the scripts that really piqued my interest was Christmas Vacation, he said, and the reason is I had never done any comedy ever. The fact that this man that was his first movie he'd ever directed, outstanding. I guess a comedy, outstanding. Christmas Vacation is like my dad's favorite movie and like his side of my family. Like, it's just that it's their thing. I mean, I guess it's our thing because I am a part of the family. I don't quite participate as much. I do have a t-shirt with a Christmas Vacation quote on it. And I have the Christmas Vacation movie on Blu-ray. It's still in the package, like in the plastic, with a card from my dad, and I've never opened it because to me it's more sentimental that like he gave it to me than actually watching it, because there are so many copies of my family and like it's always on TV. Anyways, number 4. Natalie Wood still believed in Santa when she filmed Miracle on 34th Street. Natalie Wood was 8 years old while filming Miracle on 34th Street. I still vaguely believed in Santa Claus, said Wood, as recorded in her biography written by Susan Finstad. I guess I had an inkling that maybe it wasn't so, but I really didn't think that Edmund Gwen was Santa. I had never seen him without his beard because he used to come in early in the morning and spend several hours putting on this wonderful beard and mustache, and at the end of the a set party, I saw this strange man without the beard, and I just couldn't get it together. Number 5. Ralphie's dad is never given a name in A Christmas Story. Number 6. Frosty the Snowman was a hit song before it was a TV special. The song Frosty the Snowman was written by Jack Rowlands and Steve Nelson in 1950, with a melody that is strikingly similar to 1932's Let's Have Another Cup of Coffee, specifically as a means of capitalizing on the success of Gene Autry's Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. The record wasn't as huge as Rudolph's sales-wise, but Frosty's story was nevertheless perpetuated. Sorry, I need to scratch my neck. Number 7. Santa Claus is Coming to Town was also a song before it was a holiday special. Yet again, the song came first, in this case, way first. J. Fred Coots and Henry Gillespie wrote it in 1932 at a time when sheet music outsold records. The song only received national exposure in the first place because Eddie Cantor Coots' employer at the time reluctantly sang it at the urging of his wife on this radio show in late November of 1934. Despite the music publisher's dire warning that songs aimed at children were doomed to fail, Cantor's performance sent this sheet music for the song flying off retailer shelves and inspired countless other popular artists to record it. Number 8. Bill Murray improvised a lot of his lines in Scrooged. And number 9. Bill Murray was the first choice for the lead in Bad Santa. According to The Guardian, Murray was actually in final negotiations to take the lead until he dropped out to film Lost in Translation. Suffice it to say, it was a win-win for both Bill Murray and Billy Bob Thornton, because both of those are pretty iconic roles for them. I mean, Billy Bob Thornton, he could probably, you know what I'm saying. Number 10. Jim Carrey was initially eyed to star in Elf. When David Birnbaum's spec script first emerged in 1993, Jim Carrey was pre-Ace Ventura, pet detective, and attached to the front of the Christmas film. However, it took another 10 years to get the project in motion. I just don't know if Jim Carrey would have done Buddy the Elf the way Will Ferrell did. I know that I can't, I'm just saying, I think Will Ferrell was a way better choice. But the thing is, I'm also a bigger Will Ferrell fan than Jim Carrey. Don't tell Jim, he's my fellow Canadian. I just sometimes really like how, childish Will Ferrell is. The things he's saying are funny, but they're, literally, so childish. I just, the purity of it all is what gets me sometimes. You guys don't care. Number 11. How the Grinch Stole Christmas almost never happened, whereas today's studios and production companies provide funding for projects of interest. Television specials of the past, like A Charlie Brown Christmas and How the Grinch Stole Christmas, had to rely on company sponsorship in order to get made. When A Charlie Brown Christmas found its financier in the form of Coca-Cola, How the Grinch Stole Christmas struggled to find a benefactor. With storyboards in hand, Chuck Jones pitched the story to more than 24 potential sponsors, breakfast foods, candy companies, and the like, all without any luck. Down to the wire, Jones finally found his sponsor in an unlikely source, the Foundation for Commercial Banks. I thought this was very odd because one of the great lines in there is that the Grinch says, "Perhaps Christmas doesn't come from a store," Jones said of the surprise endorsement. I never thought of a banker endorsing that kind of a line, but they overlooked it, so he went ahead and made the picture. I love that. I don't know. I just do. Number 12. 4 plot lines were cut from Love Actually. Director Richard Curtis initially aimed to include 14 love stories in the film. 2 were clipped in the scripting phase, but 2 were shot and cut in post. Those lost before production involved a girl with a wheelchair and one about a boy who records a love song for a classmate who ultimately hooks up with his drummer. Shot but cut for time was a brief aside featuring an African couple supporting each other during a famine, and another storyline that followed home a school headmistress revealing her long-time commitment to her lesbian partner. I feel like that's very disappointing, but I understand how there was way too much happening, because there's still way too much happening in that as a copywriter for the Leo Burnett advertising agency in Chicago. One day he had an 11 a.m. presentation scheduled in New York on a Wednesday and planned to return home on a 5 p.m. flight. Winter winds forced all flights to Chicago to be canceled that night, so he stayed in a hotel. A snowstorm in Chicago the next day continued the delays. The plane he eventually got on ended up being diverted to Denver, then Phoenix. Hughes didn't make it back until Monday. Experiencing such a hellish trip might explain how Hugh managed to write the first 60 pages of Trains, Trains, and Automobiles in just 6 hours. Number 15. The plot of The Nightmare Before Christmas was inspired by the collision of holiday store decorations. In the film's DVD commentary, creator Tim Burton explains that his childhood in Burbank, California, was not marked by seasonal changes, so holiday decorations were an especially important factor in the year's progression. When it came to fall and winter, there was a melting of Halloween and Christmas in stores, eager to make the most of both shopping seasons. This, he claims, planted the seed for his tale of the King of Halloween intruding on Christmas. You know, I kind of love how the inspiration for that movie is literally as simple as capitalism. I'm sorry. It's true though. Number 16. The Muppets from Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer were recently rediscovered. When they resurfaced, they did so on Antiques Roadshow in 2006. While not all of them, just Santa and Rudolph, a woman who worked for Rankin and Bass, had stored them in her attic since at least the 1970s. Prior to that, she let her kids play with them. Rudolph lost his red nose, and let's not even talk about how Santa lost his eyebrows. The puppets were fully restored after their trip to Antique Roadshow, and have since been displayed at the Center of Puppetry Arts. The new owner hopes the puppets can go on tour so more people can enjoy them. And number 17, I just turned down the gain a little bit. It was just sounding a little off in my headphones, so I hope it sounds okay now. Number 17. Robert Zemeckis gave his childhood home a shout-out in the Polar Express when the conductor says 11344 Edbrook near the beginning of the film. He's referring to the director's actual childhood home in Chicago. Number 18. The FBI didn't think It's a Wonderful Life was so wonderful. In 1947, the FBI issued a memo noting the film as a potential communist infiltration of the motion picture industry, citing its rather obvious attempts to discredit bankers by casting Lionel Barrymore as a Scrooge type, so that he would be the most hated man in the picture. This, according to these sources, is a common trick used by communists. Oh, what? I'm sorry. I read that a couple weeks ago and I found these facts and I died laughing. Like, what? Like, okay, just relax. Number 19. A Christmas Story got its science right. Mythbusters tested whether it was really possible to get your tongue stuck on a piece of cold metal. Guess what? It is. So don't triple dare your best friend to try it. I didn't need Mythbusters to tell me this. I've done it myself. When I was in elementary school, there was a flagpole outside, and you know, I live in Canada. It gets to like -30, -40 where I live, and I was like in first, second grade, and all the kids were like, stick your tongue to it. So I did, but I just did a quick one. But one of my friends, he actually like stuck your whole tongue to it, and you have to get hot water poured on them so you can like gently get the tongue off without ripping the skin off. It's actually really painful. I don't suggest. But also the Mythbusters didn't really need to bust this myth. It's not a myth. It is true. Number 20. Will Farrell refuses to make a sequel to Elf. Though the comedian reprised the role of Ron Burgundy for Anchorman 2, the legend continues. He flat out rejected the possibility of bringing back Buddy, even after being offered a reported $29 million. In December of 2013, he told US Today, I just think it would look slightly pathetic if I tried to squeeze back into elf tights Buddy, the middle-aged elf. I mean, that's fair, man. Like, if you don't want to be that Buddy the happened to Billy. I saw Billy Murray become an actor. Some could argue that Groundhog Day was his time to shine. But that's a personal opinion, so. Number 24. Gizmo and Stripe were the same creature at one point in the development of Gremlins. It was at the suggestion of producer Steven Spielberg that Gizmo's role in the film grew. Originally, it's the cute little Mogwai himself who transforms into Stripe the Gremlin. But Spielberg knew the audiences wanted to see as much of Gizmo as possible, so he withdrew the idea so that they would appear as totally separate characters. Number 25. The Grinch's green color was inspired by a rental car. In the original book, the Grinch is illustrated as black and white, with hints of pink and red. Rumor has it that it was Chuck Jones who was inspired to give the Grinch's iconic coloring after he rented a car that was painted an ugly shade of green. And now it's so iconic. Iconic, I tell you, iconic. Number 26. In real life, Harry and Marv may not have survived Kevin's attack in Home Alone. BB gunshots to the forehead and groin, a steaming hot iron, and a can of paint to the face, a flaming blowtorch to the scalp. The web bandits endure an awful lot of violence at the hands of a single 8-year-old, so much so that neither one of them should have been walking, let alone conscious. By the end of the night, in 2012, Dr. Ryan St. Clair diagnosed the likely outcome of the injuries at the week. While a read-through of the entire article is well worth your time, here are a few highlights. That iron should have caused a blowout fracture leading to serious disfragmentation and debilitating double vision if not repaired properly, and the blowtorch, according to Dr. St. Clair, the skin and bone tissue on Harry's skull would be so damaged and rotted that his skull bone is essentially dying and will likely require transplant. Yeah, I mean, even when I was a child watching Home Alone, I was kind of like, how are these guys, not dead or not running for their lives? Like, is it worth it? No, I don't think so, but whatever. Number 27. In the Czech Republic, Bad Santa is translated into Santa is a pervert. Santa is a pervert, apparently. Number 28. Christmas Vacation's Cousin Eddie is based on a real guy. Randy Quaid borrowed many of Cousin Eddie's mannerisms from a guy he knew growing up in Texas, most notably his tendency toward tongue-clicking. But Eddie's sweater and dicky combo, that was an idea from Quaid's wife. Iconic. Now that do be iconic. Number 29. Gene Shepherd makes an on-screen appearance in A Christmas Story. If the voice of the man who brusquely informs Ralphie and Randy that the line to sit on for Santa's lap begins about 2 miles further back than they had anticipated sounds familiar, that's because it's the voice of the narrator, aka adult Ralphie, who also happens to be Gene Shepherd, the man upon whose short stories the film is based. The one behind Shepherd is his wife, Lee Brown. Number 30. Jim Carrey worked with a CIA specialist who trained agents to survive torture in order to get through the painful makeup process of the Dr. Seuss How the Grinch Stole Christmas. I hate that for him. I really do. Number 31. The shots of the Macy's Thanksgiving Parade in Miracle on 34th Street are real. Star Edmund Gwenn actually took to a float as Santa for the 1946 celebration. Number 32. A Christmas Story child star Peter Billingsley was the first artificial snow for the film made up of a mixture of fomite, sugar, and water. Number 36. The late, great John Candy's role in Home Alone was inspired by his character in John Hughes' Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, which was released 3 years earlier. He shot all of his scenes over a continuous 23-hour stint on set, and the story about forgetting his son at a funeral home was entirely improvised by him. Number 37. Transforming Tim Allen into Mr. Santa Claus for 1994's The Santa Claus took approximately 3 hours every single time. Special effects makeup, it do be taking hours. Number 38. Dustin Hoffman's cameo in The Holiday was never actually supposed to happen. A good friend of writer-director Nancy Meyers, the actor, was driving by the blockbuster scene in the film and decided to stop and investigate. When he saw the production equipment, Meyers ended up creating a cameo for him right then and there. I knew it had to be a coincidence, it was just a coincidental thing because he just has nothing to do with it. It's not funny that he's in that, it's just oh hey, he's at Blockbuster. Anyways, number 39. Yes, Die Hard is a Christmas movie. It's debatable. This is a fact, and I challenge you to suggest otherwise. It's also a fact that Alan Rickman's role as the evil Hans Gruber was actually his first in a feature film. We're still iffy on that fact, okay. Number 40. Spielberg's iconic Amblin Entertainment logo has become a familiar sight for moviegoers. The Gremlins was the first movie in which it appeared. Number 41. The Polar Express was the first ever film to entirely use performance capture. And so what I gathered that is I think you wear those blue and green suits with all the dots and stuff on them. And so the people actually act it out, and then after they film everything, they go in and animate it. I think what I gathered, I think that's what it is, which I think is pretty cool. Okay. Number 42. Despite being a Christmas film, Miracle on 34th Street was released on May 2nd, 1947. 20th Century Fox chief Daryl Zanuck wanted to recuperate his budget and supposed that more people went to the movies in the summer. He wasn't wrong, and the film ended up grossing $2.65 million in the United States alone. I would have never in a million years thought that was a good idea. Must have been good in the 40s, but not now. Number 43. Due to the laborious stop-motion process, a minute of footage for The Nightmare Before Christmas took a crew of over 120 people a full week to film. Now, I can't do math very well, so someone do the math. It took 1 minute of 120 people in a full week. Tell me how long it took to make that movie. Okay, thank you. Number 44. In 2006's The Holiday, Kate Winslet's character is hopelessly enamored with Rufus Sewell's insufferable D-bag. The two had actually previously dated in real life. I appreciate that because you can definitely get the vibes from her that she's ugh, this bitch. If you know, you know. Number 45. In the Santa Claus 2, Tim Allen had to stay in character while around the children actors because some of them actually believed he was Santa. If that's not adorable, the fact that this is a constant theme in Christmas movies is adorable, okay? Some people are so pure. Number 46. In Elf, all of the elaborate Christmas decorations in the store took the art department weeks to build, so the fight between Buddy and the mall Santa had to be done in one take. One chance, and that was it. Number 48. In Home Alone, the prop department originally created a fake tarantula to put on Daniel Stern's face, but the director made them use a real one, and its name was Barry. Number 49. In Die Hard, Bruce Willis's character spent most of the movie doing wild stunts like stepping Christmas season of 1983.